Welcome everyone to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Charter Township of Washington Board of Trustees. Today is Wednesday, August 10th, 2022. If you'll all join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Tonight, before we begin our meeting, we have a special recognition that I'd like to call Chief Tyrell up to read this recognition.
Good evening. Let me start by just thanking this board for granting us the opportunity to jump on your agenda again and recognize this young lady, this civilian, that really left an impression with one of my really senior paramedic firefighter teams that responded out to Stony Creek early July. In a moment, I'm going to call up Anna Avoris, but just full disclosure, I can't put into words, or I can't convey to you the impact that she had, both out on that scene, but also with my team. And I'm not privy to the whole report, and I can't obviously share everything that happened out there, but she really clearly left an impression with the team that came into my office early July 7th or 8th. And that's pretty much all they talked about was Anna's action. So Anna, would you mind joining me at the podium? Because as I struggle to summarize the impact you had, I wanted people to associate that with your face. Anna Avoris, and Anna has family here, right? Thank you so much. And this is a super cool thing. We don't always have an opportunity, or perhaps take the opportunity to recognize civilians that really go out of the way and have such an extraordinary impact like Anna did. But the first week of July, like I said, Lieutenant Rewitzer and Senior Firefighter Eric Kozlowski and Wilmot, they came into my office. They brought me up to speed on a call. It was a potential water rescue in Stony Creek, Eastwood Beach. But what they continued to really elaborate on was Anna's actions. Again, a lot of the report is specific to protected stuff, but what I can tell you is Anna was patrolling, and feel free to correct me, Eastwood Beach as a PSA, a public service attendant. That's a position that works under the supervision of the police department, and they're primarily involved in information to the public, enforcing rules, preventing unsafe actions. I think for as long as I've been around, PSAs have been there, and they've always been diligent and doing the job. But, that day, I think Anna was in the right place at the right time, and we believe that she went above and beyond when she entered the water on that day to go after a 9-year-old young boy that was attempting to swim beyond the buoys. Is that a fair characterization? And it's my impression that Anna was pretty sure the young man was not, or it was unclear if he was able to swim or knew how to swim. And she was definitely concerned for his well-being. She entered the water immediately. She went out and grabbed the young man, brought him back to safety, brought him to shore just prior to our arrival and the police department's arrival. There's so much to the story, but this is what I want to leave this board with. I want to celebrate and recognize character. I want everyone to understand, especially in today's day and age, impact, compassion for others. And I think that's what brings us here tonight. And we, your fire department, I'm sure the supervisor shares this, just applaud your actions. In a time of an emergency, your actions, I think, saved this young boy. And I just, it's rare. We want to be cautious when we do things like that, but inaction would have left us with a completely different outcome. So I wanted to thank you.
So Anna, I'd like to give you the special recognition to Anna Avoris with sincere appreciation in your leadership efforts and bravery and courage for your selfless act of heroism on the 7th day of July, 2022. So thank you very much, and we appreciate it. Thanks. Thank you so much.
I would just like to say thank you so much, and I've had so many good role models in my life. My dad, he's great. And I would like to thank Klein so much, like him being my mentor over the past year and a half with working with him. I don't know if I would have jumped in that water if I didn't know that guy. He's so strong. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Chief, how's the little boy doing today?
Oh, yeah.
I don't have any follow-up. They don't, okay. I hope he's doing well for the family then.
Thank you very much. And, welcome to all our family to be here tonight. You guys are free to stay as long as you like or leave whenever you like. Okay, with that, I'll ask for a roll call.
Top?
I'm here.
Sorry, gotta move that thing down too. Polad,
Here?
Nicely,
Here.
Ravidi,
Yes,
Babinski
present.
here, sorry.
Sped through that one.
Tatowski
I'm here.
and Olson.
Here.
Okay, all present. You see before you the agenda. Is there any additions, deletions, or motions? I had sent the board an email. I'd like to add, I guess we would call it 9.0, to add Fishback construction administration fees for the 32-mile Powell Road that was awarded. If we could squeeze that in the unfinished business on 9.0.
I don't know if I could do that on the system, so if we can make it
Or
9-1
not
and
one,
just everything
or we
down
could renumber
one at
everything.
So it's making it 9-1?
Yes,
Yeah,
and
we'll
then
just
everything
shift
else will
everything
shift.
down.
Okay.
Sorry.
I don't think the program allows me to create a 9.0.
Last time Maria was here till midnight, so I was trying to make it up to her. So. Is there any otherwise, do I have a motion to accept the agenda?
Make a motion to accept the agenda as amended.
Any
So
second?
move.
Okay, supported by Polad.
Yep.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed. You see before you the consent agenda. You're being asked to approve the accounts payable of August 10th, approve the minutes of the Board of Trustee meeting of July 13th, accept the Building Department monthly report of July 2022, accept the Washington Township Fire Department monthly report for June 2022, accept the Parks and Rec accounts payable for July 15th, the 22nd, and the 29th, and also August 5th, approve closed session minutes of July 13th, 2022, approve the July 2022 Board of Review change summary and meeting minutes, and approve the Macomb County Sheriff's Department stats of 2022.
I'll make a motion to support the consent agenda as submitted.
Anyone second?
I'll second.
Okay, seconded by Babinski. All in.
I have a question. On accounts payable, I like I noticed there's Plant Moran has some buildings going through, and I'd like to have an update on bank reconciliations for the next
Can you
meeting.
take a look at it?
Have them by month.
There's the breakdown of what those were all for.
Okay. I think all the boards should have a copy of it, but in the next item on Griffin and Webster, I'd like to have, like a request for the next meeting, that we have a monthly report of breakdown of the planning services that were given. I believe wasn't it April through July? And I'm requesting that the items to be updated by month would be for the retainer costs, planning commission costs, zoning board, master plan, and any other bills that may pertain to the consultant.
What was the start date? I didn't hear that first part.
July.
July?
Are you done, Mike? Yes.
Okay. I'd also like to make a couple comments here. You followed up with the Plant Moran one, and I caught that one too. We've got $12,320 here we're spending for BS&A software. I've had a conversation with Heidi, and I would like to get a conversation going relative to that spend to find out the utility of that software and to find out if we're indeed getting the full utilization out of it. So I guess my recommendation is for somebody, and I don't know who that somebody is to get BS&A in here and have them give us an update on what we're paying for and the utility of it, and make sure that we're actually using it effectively and efficiently. I'm looking at you, Stan. I don't know
So I can
who
tell
the right
you, some of
person
it is just a renewal, and then yes, we have looked at adding on to there.
Uh-huh.
When I first took office, we were working on a free version from, I believe it was 2008, and we've been trying to figure out what the whole problem is, and some of that, when I talked about the phone system and everything else.
Yeah.
Everyone's pointing fingers as to what it is. We currently are at the 2019 version, but we haven't paid for that yet, because we want to make sure it's bug-free. This week, I can tell you, we had big problems because we added the software, whatever the little thing's called that they add in there.
The modules?
Yeah, and it crashed our system. So we were down until 2, 3 o'clock yesterday, getting everything back up and running, because it was done on Friday, come back, and then Monday it's crashed. So they had to come in, we took it out, they had to re-upload everything, revert it back to the old. I don't know where we stand with that, haven't had a chance to follow up to see what are we doing next, are we putting in, it was something about a RAID system. I don't know what RAID means in IT world, but somehow the RAID didn't mash with what was going on. So,
Does it still follow that we should have somebody come in here?
No, and we're also updating it to offer more online services as well, so they're.
yeah.
Well, I'm sure it's.
So there's a lot of cleanup.
There's a lot, and
going on, yeah.
again, there's conversation that need to be had regarding the cloud version that is being proposed. Got a quote from them on that. Again, there is no other vendors to compare against unless we switch systems.
Right, right.
But their cloud version is in the neighborhood of $155,000 for the initial installation.
And other
We would be on
townships are
a,
doing it.
yeah, and others are doing it. Chesterfield's, because it's based on the number of people, is over $300,000
Wow.
that they're paying. Our annual fee was somewhere around $35,000 to maintain having that cloud version. Some, in a simplistic way of saying it, it helps with server storage and stuff, which would be coming out of the cloud versus out of our server room. So that's one of the benefits. It has a little more graphics and appears to be friendlier, but again, we'll have extensive training that will need to take place in addition to that, and it will take us, if we were to order today, 12 to 18 months before they'll even be able to get to it.
And we've also been
Business
having
opportunity.
trainings too.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so there was a motion to approve this. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed. No moved agenda items. Comments from audience on non-agenda items? So if there's anything non-agenda related, yeah, you can come. You were ready to come on.
Hi, my name is Joe Brewer. I came in front of the board a few months back talking about a variance for a sidewalk for a piece of property that I have and planning to build a home on Mound Road. We had come up, the board approved us to look into the dollar value to turn over to the township as opposed to me building the sidewalk to nowhere. We did come up with that value. The one thing we did not come up with and did not discuss with the board is when is this payment due? My assumption would be that the sidewalk would be the last thing you build on a house to get your occupancy. And my feeling is that would be the time to turn over that amount of money. So I've been asked to step in front of you to find that ruling. When would that be the appropriate time, and go from there. So I'm just kind of looking for that guidance.
Is the board comfortable with, basically, when he gets a C of O, he would pay for the balance of the sidewalk?
Before the CFO.
I'm sorry, before the C of O.
And I would suggest we
make a formal motion,
to approve
yeah.
that.
So I'll make the motion to approve upon, or before C of O.
I'll support
Is
that.
that the right wording, I guess?
All in favor?
No, it's a money thing.
Kukowski's second, so if no questions, roll call.
1 second here. Stan, don't write that fast. Praviti,
Yes.
Datowski,
Yes?
Olson,
Yes.
Kopp,
Yes.
Nicely,
Yes.
Olad,
Yes.
Babinski's a yes.
Okay, motion passed. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks
you,
for
Joe.
having me.
Any other non-agenda items anyone would like to, please come to the podium. You don't have to get your hair done for tonight, Gail.
Sorry, I've been running all day. A couple of things. Oh, do I need to tell you who I am, or y'all know?
Yeah, you could share.
My name is Gayleen Hunter, and my address 11469 Richmond. A couple of things. A few years ago, I have heard so much garbage going on here. A couple of years ago, I ran for trustee. One of my ideas was to have a dog and cat food giveaway program for seniors, and especially now. It's, with the times being so tough, you know, gas prices being high, groceries being high, I was just wondering if you might consider doing that for the seniors. Once a month, twice a month, it's just a consideration, heads nod, yes, no. I was told it was a bad idea before. I really don't think it's a bad idea.
What, to put like a box out there to collect it, or?
What?
To put a box out there to collect donations for cat food and dog food, or?
Well, yeah, a donation thing, you know, from the public or something that they could pick up here at the township. You know, y'all want to kick in, I think that's great. It's just a consideration. I mean, if you want to consider it, it's great. I think it's a good idea. Something good, finally something good, you know, with all the infighting that's been going on here. I'm sorry, I did notice. And the other thing is for you, Stan. I know we have 12 precincts here, and all the precincts were tabulated except precinct 4 until about 2 o'clock the next afternoon. Explanation?
Yeah, ask the county, because it goes down to the county when I'm getting.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. I'm hard of hearing.
Goes to the county. Goes to the county.
I did.
What?
I did call the county.
Everything was turned into the county.
Well, I did call the county. They referred me back to you.
I'm telling you, call the county. We took all the sticks in. I left here at approximately 11:30, turned in all the tabulations, everything did, sent the pictures that they had requested, so they put the unofficial ballot totals from everything, was put out on their website as the unofficial, because that's the way they're doing it now since can't modem anything over. So they asked us to take pictures, they did that. I then bring the sticks over to them, they tabulate everything. Why they didn't put it in, I don't know, because I took them all the sticks, and they release me when they have everything done that I need to provide them.
When you saw it, were you confused? When you saw that
I
one
got home at
precinct?
1:30 in the morning, I was up at 4:30 the previous morning. I don't look for confusion. I'm told that everything has been tabulated. When we counted everything here, it was all there. We took it to the county. They told me I have everything I need to do. I go home and I go to bed. And I get back here at 8 o'clock the next
I'm
morning.
not accusing you of any wrongdoing. I mean, I just.
Well, I don't know what the question's
I'm just
about.
looking for an answer because I've ran so many times and that never happened.
I have no explanation other than one I just told you.
No explanation for an answer is no explanation.
Whatever you want to say, Gayleen, I'm not going to get into a match with you.
But anyways, would you consider the dog and cat food thing for seniors?
You're more than welcome to put a bin out there.
I can't hear you.
He said you're more than welcome to put a bin out there, right?
Well, see,
A bin.
She has an idea. I just think it's something good that would come from the township.
I'm just repeating what Stan said. You said you couldn't hear him, so I'm repeating what he said.
I thought you said put a bin out there.
Yeah, we can put a bin or a box out there, and people can donate and take kind of a community box for cat and dog food. Is that good?
I think that's a nice idea.
Okay, what was your idea?
You know, something, well, I don't know.
I'll give you the,
Some kind of thing. I just thought it was a nice thing, you know, for seniors. I mean.
yeah, I know. And for cats and
They
dogs.
only, on the Social Security, they only got $100 bounce. If you've been to the grocery store, you got 3 bags, no meat, and it's 75 bucks. So it's no different for them. I mean, I'm good. I order my dog food for Chewy. The dog comes first before me. It's just a nice idea.
No, it's nice.
Okay, my other question is unanswered, and so that's fine. Well, if you don't have any, you can sit there and shake your head, but I mean, if you don't have an answer, that is the answer, and it's okay.
Thank you, Galen.
It's okay. Am I dismissed now?
Yeah, you're dismissed.
All right. Well, y'all have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You too. Any other non-agenda items? Otherwise, okay, next is legal counsel. Okay, next is unfinished business. First up is Fishback on their construction administrative fees for 32 Mile and Powell Road. And, yes, so I got Maria here, so.
Good evening, and thank you for putting us on the agenda, and early, appreciate it. In front of you is our proposal to provide construction engineering assistance for the water extension, the 32 Mile and Powell Roads project. Fishback did the design work for that, and it was awarded to Talto for construction. They're about to start the construction of this phase, and this is the proposal to help the township with the construction engineering assistance. And it's for $41,222.
Maria, do you know if they're going to be using plastic that we've had issues with, or using the other?
It has been switched to ductile iron.
Okay.
They will be using 16-inch class 54 ductile iron pipe. Yep. And the pre-con will be next week. Construction will start soon after. And right now, substantial completion is estimated for end of March 2023.
Next year?
Yes. And this is phase 1. Phase 2 will loop it back down to 31 miles.
And Maria, does this price include any changes that you guys had to make because of the switch from PVC to ductile iron?
It's all included, yes.
Okay, thank you.
There's really not much a change for us. It's the same, so no change.
All right.
Any questions from the audience? Any other board question?
I'll make a motion to approve Fishback in the amount of $2,429, no, I'm sorry.
41.
Second page. $41,222.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. I'll support it. If no questions, roll call.
Olson,
Yes.
Graviti,
Yes.
Babinski is a yes, Datowski,
Yes.
Nicely,
Yes.
Polad,
Yes,
and Kopp.
Yes.
Okay, motion passed.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It averages out from last time.
Yep.
Okay, next up is 9.2 now. It's the adopt the land development and utility ordinance amendment for the final publication. So this is just the second reading.
Yeah, and
That's all
since you're a charter township, you have to introduce it first in its original form and then bring it back for final adoption. So you've already introduced it. There are no changes, so the motion would be to adopt the ordinance amendment for final adoption, and then it'll become effective in 30 days.
I'll make that motion.
support.
Okay, motion by Babinski, seconded by Polad. Any questions from the audience? Otherwise, by board, roll call.
Babinski is a yes, Polad,
Yes,
Kopp,
Yes.
Nicely,
Yes.
Graviti,
Yes.
Datowski,
Yes.
and Olson.
Yes.
Okay, motion passed. Next is 9.3, Parks and Recreation bylaws. So this has been brought back to Washington Township. Originally was approved at the Washington Township Board. It was brought to Bruce Township. They approved it with a couple stipulations, and now it's brought back to us to vote on with these stipulations. So I don't know if Gary wants to present it again or not.
Well, I can just give you an update in terms of what happened at the Board of Trustee meeting in Bruce Township. Basically, Mr. Tremblay made the motion to approve the bylaws as we had approved them, and there was no support. So then there was some discussion, and then there was a new motion that was made to approve the bylaws as written with the addition of the word Romeo included in the title. And I think that title would now be the Washington Bruce Romeo Parks and Rec Commission. So that motion was made, it was seconded, and it was approved. There were 4 members present, and I think it was approved 3-1. So I think what's happening now is that the ball has been thrown over the wall to us to either maintain our position that we had on what we had originally approved, or amend the motion and include the word Romeo in the title. And I think that's where we're at right now.
Was there anything else or no, Clara? Or Mike, I don't know. There were 2 caveats. Sorry, can you come to the podium? Sorry.
Mike Philbrook, Bruce Township Supervisor. There were two stipulations. One of them was they had the name Romeo. The second was to keep the check signing the way it was within the township boards with an authorized signer. So I think that was the second stipulation.
I don't remember that being part of the motion.
No, that was not.
No, it was not.
No,
It was discussed, but that was not part of the motion.
right, that's the way I remember it.
Okay, my misunderstanding.
If I might, I think, Mike, I think what the boards, there was a motion made that was passed to add the word Romeo to the title of the commission, which makes no text change at all. Romeo's not a signatory to the agreement. It simply changes the name of the commission. It's name only, and that was the substance of it. But I think there was discussion at Bruce that when the matter goes back to the commission then will take a look at that issue and work through it and address the issues that Clara had raised
Exactly correct.
and had raised at the Bruce meeting. So it's my understanding it was not a text change to the agreement, but it was something that the parties wanted to talk about through the commission to see if they could work it out, and they left it at that.
Okay, sorry for the misunderstanding. Better yet, we'll be discussing that at the next commission meeting, I would take
Right.
it. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
So, any questions or discussion at the board? Any questions from the audience on this?
Thank you, everybody. Christine Malzahn, President of the Village of Romeo. I spent part of last week and weekend at the Michigan Association of Mayors Conference in Cadillac, which, as a side note, made me unable to attend your Samaritan House fundraiser. Supervisor Philbrook, I commend you for your leadership and continued support of that wonderful organization. So I just would thank you. It's really so valuable to our community. It's part of our identity. But at that conference, I attended a work session. It was facilitated by Alfredo Hernandez, who's the DEI director of the Michigan Department of Civil Rights. He spoke a lot about diversity, equity, inclusion, and then a bit about identity. From that discussion, I saw many similarities to what we are facing here today regarding identity. My big takeaway was how we value our identity in this community. As many years as I've lived here, over 30, in the nearly 4 years I've served as village president of Romeo, I've seen many influences that have tried to alter this tri-community area. But most residents that I know hold steadfast to the history that we value. It's important that we all make wise choices that last beyond our lifetime, beyond our time of service here that's entrusted to us in our elected offices. As individuals, businesses, and communities, we can enhance our tri-community relationship by standing firm for our history. It's up to each one of us to protect the Romeo, Washington, Bruce Parks and Rec, and that begins with its identity. Removing the name Romeo from its identity is nothing short of a huge slap in the face of the village residents, half of which you represent. I am respectfully asking you, at a minimum, to keep the name inclusive of all 3 municipalities, the order of which, I don't care, as long as we're all included. And while I'm at it, please reconsider the exclusion of Romeo as a requirement of the Board of Commissioners' makeup. Thank you.
Thank you.
Maureen Devancher Campground. I don't understand why you want to get rid of Romeo. Why? Parks and Recs is everybody that participates in Romeo, Washington, and Bruce. You can't eliminate Romeo.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Again, Clara from Romeo, Washington, Bruce, Parks and Rec. All I really care about is the Parks and Recreation Department. I think it should remain Romeo, Washington, Bruce, because it's been branded and it's been that name for 35 plus years. I mean, if the commission is called Washington, Bruce, I mean, honestly, not a lot of people see the commission, the articles of organization. What I care about is our name, the residents that are on behalf of those names. And I would not like to see it mixed up, but if that's what it takes, that's what it takes. We have a logo, it's Romeo, Washington, Bruce. It spells out one. That is really what this whole intergovernmental agreement is about. I don't know why we would change that. The other comment, I don't know if it was part of the motion or not part of the motion. I guess my biggest concern is how, if this check signing isn't necessary in the intergovernmental agreement, then I'm concerned about that because it's how we do business. I don't want our commission to be stalemated because we have 2 people. So if this comes back to this commission and they say, okay, we only want you to do checks once a month and whatever it is, or I guess it wouldn't happen at that point, but when the new commission comes in, the officials that are at the township, its accessibility, its authority, they should be the ones on the check signer, their longevity. We know that no matter what, when we hire or when we appoint the new commission members, they're going to be volunteers, so their longevity could change. Your elected officials, that normally doesn't happen. So having new signers on signing cards and have you that, I'm just not sure why we wouldn't change that at this level or do it now while we're making this bylaws happen. So that's all I have.
Thank you.
Dick Rosenberg, 8760 North Dutchess, Bruce Township. As you know, I've been following this situation or this reshuffle for the last 3.5 years or so. And I want to make just a couple comments in regard to Claire's concern about the check signing. I view this as the foundation document for the Parks and Rec organization. My experience is that below that foundation document, you have policies and procedures. Check signing is, in my view, policy. So it comes below that. So it does not need, you can change that. So I think that's not an issue. I want to speak, and it may be a poor analogy, but for the last 35, 40 years, think of the wagon we call Parks and Rec. It's been pulled by a team of the 2 supervisors or their clerks. Those people over this time frame, those jobs are very full. Lots of meetings, lots of responsibilities. Stan, you know how much goes into being a clerk. Trying to then manage Parks and Rec doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So it's, in my mind, just the analogy is, we're gonna go from a 2-horse pull to a 5-horse pull. A lot more power. The wagon stays the same. And so just if we can look at it that way and move forward, I think, you know, and I see that team change a little bit at the leadership position. I see that when, Sam, you know how your schedule is, and you would have trouble getting to the meetings, and you got a lot on your mind. And so when Dan and Cindy came in, they could apply, if you will, the horsepower, detailed studies, and, you know, action going forward. Great. And I think we can make a big difference in this community and how we move forward. So, kind of a crude analogy, but I'm old enough to know when my uncle on the farm had horses. So, thank you for your attention.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nobody else? Okay. So then, okay, I'll make a motion to approve these bylaws, adding the word Romeo per what Bruce offered.
You mean the interlocal agreement?
Interlocal agreement.
I will support that, so the name will be Washington, Bruce, Romeo, and that'll be the interlocal agreement. Yeah, I've already made the changes. I've got them to Mike Tremblay and Gary Kopp, and it will be called the Washington, Bruce, and Romeo Parks and Recreation Commission. The documents are done. If approved, they're ready to be executed. Let's put this to rest.
From the board's perspective, I'm just curious in finding out why you don't want to leave it the same. Romeo, Washington, Bruce.
Well, I think historically, if you take a look at what's going on, this interlocal agreement is a total change in terms of the bylaws. And historically, what it is, if you start a corporation or something like that, or a law firm for that matter, the principals of the law firm, who's ever been around the longest, gets the first name. Washington is the, to use Mr. Rosenberg's terminology, we're supplying 3 of the horses. Bruce is supplying 2. So in my estimation, the Washington name would go first. We're putting in 75% of the funds. Bruce is putting in 25% of the funds. They should go next. And Romeo is the culmination, the sum of the 2.
Yeah, but Romeo pays.
Let's call the vote, please.
I'm the chair. I call for roll. I'm still discussing.
Anybody can call roll on this.
Yeah, I will when I'm ready. Romeo pays for both portions.
Mr. Siebert, roll in, please.
I have the floor. Thank you.
There's board discussion going on.
Yeah, I know. I didn't know the trustees could call roll call. Is there a big deal to change it back just to the way it is on the logo?
No, my secretary's amazing. She can change these words around anytime you want, any way you want.
Okay. So I'll amend my motion and make it Romeo, Washington, Bruce, the way it's been stated for 35 years.
We already have one motion on the floor that's been seconded.
That is true.
Yes.
So we need to vote on the first motion first.
Right. Okay, but when I made the motion, I said to add Romeo. I didn't know the order of the words. I didn't think it was such a big thing to.
You want to rescind your motion?
Then, okay, I rescind my motion. I'd like to make a re-motion.
It's back on the floor then.
I'll rescind my motion and make the motion to go back to the original wording, Romeo, Washington, Bruce, as Bruce had presented it back to us.
I'll support it.
If no other questions, then roll call.
Reviti,
Yes.
Nicely,
Yes.
Cop,
No.
Olad,
No.
Olson,
No.
Datowski.
No.
I'm going to say yes, just because I want this damn thing done with.
We need a new motion now.
So motion fails. 4 to
Motion
3.
fails.
It failed.
I don't know.
We are still in board. We're still at the board table, please.
Can I go up and speak?
No.
No.
We are not open. No.
You can come up.
It's out of order.
I guess so.
I don't understand you people. Excuse me, I'm talking, look at me, eye contact.
You're out of
Excuse me, I have to
order.
go to the bathroom.
Wow. Boy, your mother didn't raise you right. I don't understand, why can't you just leave the name as is? Miss Olson, can you answer my question? Why are you against the name, why do you have to have, I live in Washington, I've been here umpteen years. Why do we have to be number one? Is it because you both are on the board? Please answer the question.
No, thank you. It's been explained.
Excuse me, I can't hear you.
No, thank you.
No, thank you what?
No.
No what?
My vote is my answer, ma'am.
There is.
Okay.
Leave it the way it is, keep the logos the same, and not have to change anything and spend more of our taxpayer dollars for nothing. Come on.
Phyllis has something to say.
Okay, come on.
You okay? You look just like me.
Please correct me if I'm wrong, but at the Bruce Township meeting, I believe it was, when this came up, the discussion was that the logo and the brochures and everything else is going to stay Romeo Bruce Washington.
It's up to the commission.
The only thing, well, this is what was stated at the Bruce Township meeting. And the only thing that was going to change was the title of the document. Is that not correct? Then you don't have to worry about changing T-shirts or logos or brochures or anything else. It's just the document. That's what was stated by everybody, including the Washington commissioners at the Bruce Township meeting.
Yeah, I watched the meeting live, but I remember Mr. Tremblay saying it's up to the commission, the new commission could change the logo if they want. Right, Bob?
That's true.
Yeah, the logo, there's no
I know,
legal-
I'm just saying.
There's no legal significance to the logo. If you want to keep it the way it's been for 50 years, keep it. This is simply the name of the commission. You know, however you end up deciding it, the logo can stay the same. They could call it the WBR, whatever the logo. They could change the logo tomorrow. If this is approved, they can change the logo, keep the logo, modify the logo, they can do whatever they want to do. It's not, it has no legal significance. If they want to keep it the way it's been for 50 years, they can do that. What they call the legal entity is what you're deciding now, what you call the legal entity. Once that legal entity is decided, and both communities sign this agreement, the logo can stay.
Okay, so the motion failed, so is there another motion or no motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the interlocal agreement with the title being the Washington, Bruce, and Romeo Parks and Rec Commission.
Support.
Okay, motion by Kopp, seconded by Pollad. No questions, roll call?
Cop,
Yes.
Olad,
Yes.
Nicely,
No.
Reviti,
I'm voting no because we represent half of what Romeo.
I am changing to yes because it as Mr. Siebert just said, it's the name of the entity, not the names of all the logos. So mine is a yes. Tatowski
Yes.
and Olson.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes 5-2. Next item is the Greater Romeo Washington Chamber of Commerce annual dues.
Pass it down to Sam.
So last year, we were approved for a year and a half. Our year has gone up, and I'd like to ask the board to renew the dues for the Romeo Washington Chamber of Commerce.
I'll support that.
Any questions or comments? Anything from the audience?
It's you first.
Yeah, I guess that was my motion.
Okay.
If no questions or comments? Yeah. That's okay, you could speak up if it's short.
You didn't stay with the amount was?
Oh, sorry, I think it's $280.
280, yeah, 285.
285. Okay, if no questions, roll call?
Purvidi,
Yes.
Nicely,
Yes.
Olson,
No.
Tatowski.
No.
I may no, only because I haven't liked what I've seen coming out when we are having ribbon cuttings and things done here. We are not being invited to have our TV station, which was discussed previously. Cop?
No, for the same reason.
No.
Okay, motion fails. So, do we have to make a motion the other way, or no?
No,
Just
it
that?
didn't-
Okay.
It didn't
Okay.
carry, you're not going to pay.
Okay, we're done. Next is a discussion of trustee compensation. Stan has put on. Back on June 2nd, the board voted for a raise on trustees and a per diem of 100 per board of trustee meeting. And it's come to our attention, they're getting paid for master plan meetings and budget workshops and park and rec workshops.
We are not
We
getting
are
paid for
not getting
Parks and
paid
Rec
for Parks and Rec workshops.
Yeah, on July 1st and July 7th last year, you guys were.
Excuse me, Mr. Supervisor, if I can interject. A resident asked for a FOIA request to look into that. So what I ended up doing is I did spread them out. This is just a draft audit. I don't have anything official, only because I only had about a day to work on this. But there are instances where workshops have been paid and Parks and Recs have been paid based upon the timesheets that have been turned in. So if that information is correct, the trustees have been paid overpaid by $3,200 starting in August of last year through July of this year. And I can turn this over to anybody that would like to take a look at it. But I did break it down based upon the timesheets, so I'll use the January one as an example, January 2022. There was a board meeting, workshop, and a Parks and Rec meeting. According to that timesheet, you got paid $100 for the board meeting, $100 for the workshop, and $100 for the Parks and Rec meeting. So, and I got it outlined over here. There was one question on 2/23 of 22 this year. There wasn't anything filled out on the timesheet, so I was unable to classify that one. And the master plan workshops were also on there starting in July, or starting in June, I'm sorry. But this is just a draft audit. I didn't have a chance to go through it in detail. All I did is I went off the FOIA information and the time cards that were submitted and tried to backtrack into that. So if that's something, maybe accounting wants to look into it, or they can go off this here, and I'd be glad to send anybody that wants to take a look at it.
So can I speak now?
Mm-hmm.
So back when it was approved for those to have meetings, I had contacted our attorney, asking him if we are being sent out invitations to attend meetings, is that something that we should be paying for? I was under the impression that my answer was yes, if we are being all invited to attend certain meetings, that we should be, and we're having to follow all the other rules that we have for our meetings, that they should be getting paid for that. So I proceeded to tell the accounting department, that was what we were going to do for that, because they were being invited to attend those meetings specifically. Unlike water and sewer meetings or other committee meetings, the entire board does not get sent invitations. Only those who are participating have been sent invitations. So that is where we lag with those and how they were getting paid for those audited things that you looked up, Mike.
I can see where the mistake was made, but back on October 6th of last year, a motion was made by Cobb and seconded by Dukowski to approve the base salary for trustees to $9,000 plus, and this is in the minutes, per meeting for Board of Trustee meetings attended. It doesn't say anything else about workshops or parks and recs or anything like that. So I can see where you probably got a little miscommunication, but I'm just going off what the October 6, 2021 minutes are reading as.
Well, I think there's a point of clarification that needs to be made here as to whether or not, if the entire board is being invited to a meeting, whether or not the entire board should be paid. And I think that seems to be the question that's on the table right now. I don't mind not being paid for pre-planning meetings or memorial meetings or water and sewer meetings because the entire board is not there. But I would argue that if the entire board is being invited to a meeting and the entire board is being told to upset their lives and come in at a time when they may have other things planned, I don't see anything that's wrong with being compensated. If the entire board is being invited. If you would like to change that, then you may change and only invite those participants which you would want to have at the meeting. That's entirely your call.
But I'm not obligated to invite any of you to any meetings. I do that out of courtesy.
And maybe that's what you should do.
All of that, huh?
Maybe that's what you should do then.
Yeah, I'm going to stop doing that. I do it out of courtessy.
That's
I don't
fine.
do it as a mandatory, because I invite PC and ZBA, and they want to know why they're not being compensated now to attend these other workshops.
But again, going off the minutes, motion seconded, board meeting for Board of Trustee meetings attended. It doesn't say anything else about those other ones. Board of Trustee meetings minutes. To me, this is a Board of Trustee meeting.
I have a question, Mr. Nicely. How many workshop sessions did you attend in January? There were several budget meetings. You never came to one meeting. Does that mean that you should be deducted from your salary too?
No, it does not. I don't know where you're going with this, but go ahead.
You weren't there.
Because they're optional.
Oh, I see.
They're optional.
The treasurer is optional for a budget meeting?
No, I didn't say that.
Well, that's what I just heard. Okay.
No, the workshops are optional to attend. If you can't make it, because you got other prior personal commitments within the community, which I do a lot of, and if I can't make it, I can't make it.
This was during working hours. You did not attend one meeting, and that's crucial. So do we make it an exception for you too?
I'm just reading what this says right here, Mike.
I don't care what that says. I'm talking about you.
Well, then, we need to focus back on what it says, because I'm going off what it reads.
Can, Mr. Siebert, can we get you to weigh in on what your interpretation was to Mr. Clerk?
The board, as you know, when you took office, there was an annual stipend that the trustees are paid. That goes with the office, not with the individual. There was a subsequent motion after you took office to increase your annual stipend to apparently $9,000 plus X amount per Board of Trustee meeting. That set the benchmark. The discussion, one of the discussions that Stan and I had was about other non-related board meetings that members may or may not have been paid for. Certainly, it doesn't apply to the treasurer, the clerk, or the supervisor. You're out. It has to deal only with the trustees. And what I said to Stan was, if it's not clear on what meetings you earn the $100 or whatever it is, you should bring it back to the board and let's clarify it. You don't want to go for the next 2.5 years with being it unclear and you're cutting checks every month. Just bring it back and clarify it. If it's as simple as every single time there is a quorum of the board present and you're going to get paid for it, fine. But there's a million different meetings that trustees volunteer for. in this and other communities that they do not get paid for. I have trustees in some other communities that they volunteer for everything, and they don't get paid for anything. So if the board's decision is every single time the Board of Trustees meets as a quorum, and you're there, you get the stipend, then say it, and it makes it clear. You now know on a go-forward basis that that's the benchmark. But you got to clarify this. It's really simple to do.
And I remember our first conversation being a little bit different than that because they were being invited, that the mention that you just had was our most recent conversation, because I let you know that this was going to be coming up as a board item, and
But a
I don't
workshop,
care either which way.
Yeah, but a workshop where the township board meets as a quorum to talk about the budget, that's a public meeting. You're deliberating towards, now you may not be approving the budget, but you're deliberating towards moving item 6 into column 7. That's deliberation. There's no question under the OMA. That's a public meeting.
And so are the workshops regarding master plan and other things, because we're
Well,
working towards setting what that plan is going
If
to
you
be.
meet as a township board to work on the master plan, and you think, no, this ought to be recreational, or this ought to be industrial, or whatever, you're deliberating towards public policy. That's what the OMA says. But you could make it even cleaner than that any time there is a Board of Trustees quorum present for any purpose, not social, I'm talking about township-wise, that the stipend kicks in, you're done. And if you want to change it to something else, change it. But you got 2.5 more years to go in this term, and you should clarify this now.
Any comments from the audience or no?
How you doing? Lou Soldatic from Timbermill. I seem that everybody would agree that when you are mandatory to do something, you kind of don't put that much of an effort into it. When you volunteer, you give it 100% of your effort. Is that not agreeable to you guys? So as a courtesy, like the supervisor was saying, he invites you to a meeting to attend. You can show up if you want to, or you don't have to show up if you don't want to. I get invited to meetings at times, and if I can't make it, I don't make it. I have somebody take notes, or I'll look it up later on and find out what happened. Like our township trustee meetings, people can look them up after the fact and see what's going on, because not everybody can be here. I just happen to not have nothing to do today, so I decided to come and see you guys, shining faces. But I think the whole thing is, like the attorney is saying, is 100% correct. Make a decision how you're going to do it, whether it's mandatory or voluntary, and stick with it. If it's voluntary, I volunteer for the Memorial Committee. I don't get paid for it, but I sure would be proud when that thing is done, and I can stand over and say, yeah, we made this happen. I don't get paid for being a HOA president either, and that's almost a full-time damn job. But I do it because I care. I care what my community looks like, and I care about where my money goes. That's all I got to say.
If I can, so right now, what the trustees are getting paid for.
Yeah.
The trustees are getting paid their $9,000 a year. And they're also getting paid $100 for board meetings, $100 for master plan meetings. Pardon?
Planning Commission.
Well, Planning Commission and ZBA has always been there, but you got to be appointed to that. And that's all we get paid for. We do not get paid for Parks and Rec. You know, if it's a master plan or if it's a workshop on budget, then yes, we have been getting paid for that.
Yes, sir.
Now I can say something? Okay. I know maybe I was a little loud before. Well, I'm sitting there listening to everything, and it's spent a lot of time on fighting over a name, and now y'all are spending a lot of time on yourselves. I wish you would spend that much time doing something for the community. Just another thought. And this is fighting over the name. Where's my splash park? You guys are never going to move forward if you do this. You will never move forward. You've been here a long time. What's new? What's new? Nothing. I mean, nothing that I really see. I love this community. I would like to see some things actually happen instead of sitting there fighting about how much y'all are going to get paid. This is, I'm sorry, but this is one of the worst meetings I've ever seen. And I've been to a lot of meetings all over the place. And I will ask that you stop spending so much time on yourselves. Thank you.
I just have one comment. I'm hearing everything going round and round. And I guess what's trying to be said right now, that since we don't have to attend meetings, then we should stop going to budget meetings, master plan meetings, and then not have any input. That's what some of you are saying on this board. You know, look, we're volunteering our time. That's one of the reasons why I'm not running. Because I'm fed up with some of the stuff that goes on here, petty stuff. And you're talking about like the salaries, like a trustees. We have 2 of them that are going to be recalled. You know how much that's going to cost the township? You should be proud that you're asking for that a recount. Who said that?
Lewis.
Do a recall, that's the only recourse that taxpayers have to get rid of people that they don't have trust in anymore.
That's true, but it's costing us around $30,000.
Nothing's been solved yet with that.
Just to, excuse me real quick, Mayor. I'm just reading back the minutes. So if we agree on this, and Galen is right, we spent 30 minutes on this already. If you need to change it, change it. I'm just reading it as per meeting for the Board of Trustees meeting, attended. It doesn't say anything else about anything else. If it needs to be changed, let's change it. Instead of sitting there for another half hour and figure out what needs to be done. Sorry, I'm sorry.
You're fine.
Yeah.
I just wanted to clarify, no, you do not get paid for Parks and Rec Commission meetings, but you did get paid for Parks and Rec bylaw workshops. Just to clarify so the public's aware of that.
Thank you.
I would like to make a motion to clarify the prior motion that has been in question, that the trustees' base pay is $9,000, that they get paid of $100 stipend for Board of Trustee meetings, $100 stipends for workshop meetings, and $100 stipend for budget meetings. That is my motion.
Support.
Who said they supported it?
Hold on.
Hold on.
And you still keep the 15% 401K and life insurance?
So we're going to get $1,350 where you're getting $8,800.
88,000, yeah.
Yeah, I get 8,800.
Yes, you do, 10% of your base.
Yeah, I get 10, you get 15.
Yeah, 1,350.
So what about master plan?
8,800. So I made my motion, the motion has been
Did he
seconded.
include master plan?
Yeah.
And master plan,
Workshops, budgets, you said master plan?
yeah. So if
Which
we
is
have
a
to
workshop.
spell it out, yeah, because master plan is a workshop. If we have to spell it out, master plan, that's fine. Let's put this to rest.
Okay, motion by Dukowski, seconded by Polat. Roll call?
Datowski,
Yes.
Pollard,
Yes.
Olson,
Yes.
Kopp,
Yes.
Babinski is a yes, Nicely,
No.
and Praviti.
No. Motion passes.
I'd like to make a comment here. In 2019, I made $100 with the township. In 2020, I made $1,125.63. In 2021, I made $10,763.87. Mr. Nicely, on the other hand, in 2019 made $83,047. In 2020, for some unknown reason, it went up to $87,307.88. I guess they took some of that ARPA money, or the COVID money. And then in 2021, he got $83,191. The trustees are here. They have been due diligent. They have been working hard. I know I spend hours on this, and I know the rest of the trustees do. because I can see the amount of questions, I listen to it, and the amount of information that is traded back and forth, so that we can make intelligent decisions, so that we can make the right decisions for this township. We've got some good people here. We need to support them, but we need to understand what's going on.
Okay, thanks.
I'm not done.
Oh,
There's a second part of this compensation package.
oh, yeah.
Mr. Kopp, at the last meeting, we were to provide him $41 per hour for attending these union negotiations that we are starting. It was not clear what and how long he gets paid. Does he get paid for the meeting? Does he get paid for his preparation? So he brought it to my attention, since this was been FOIA'd and everything else, is whether or not we should need clarification on the amount of compensation he should be getting for that. I know the first couple meetings were a couple hours, and that's not to include, the first one, I don't think there was any real preparation because we're waiting for them to provide documentation. But ongoing, there will be more preparatory time that will be needed in order to do that. So I'm asking for clarification from the board as to how the trustee Kopp will be compensated. I'm on that committee, and Sam's on that committee, and we are not getting any other compensation. But just wanted to see what the board thought on that.
I wasn't here at the last meeting, but I'm sorry that went through. So I asked accounting how many total billable hours were paid to the law firm that handled this from 2017 to 2020. It was 27.25 hours that were billable for union negotiation hours for the last 4 to 5 years. That includes both fire and the UAW. So if you back that out and you just use 50% on each one, 40 hours, if you're rounding it out, 30 hours total, at $41 for fire, $41 for UAW. We should max this out no more than $700 based upon the numbers that were billable for the attorney at that same time period there. There's no reason why we need to have an open check for anybody, even though I disagree getting paid for doing part of the job. But if there's been 30 hours base for total UAW and 30 hours for total for UAW and fire, split that in half. So it's 15 hours for fire, 15 hours for UAW, $41 an hour is about $615, just round it up to $700 and cap it at that.
Can you tell me who the attorney firms were that you were quoting and citing over there?
I don't know. I just asked accounting, and they gave me union billable hours from 2017 through 2020.
Bob, were you involved in that at all over the last contract?
My involvement in the prior collective bargaining agreements was to meet with the supervisor who negotiated the contracts. I am certain that I did not attend any collective bargaining meetings for any union contract in the past when Supervisor O'Leary was here. He negotiated the contracts. He would periodically come back to me and said, Bob, I've got this much done. Here's what I want you to do, write it up. And I would sit in my office and I would write it up and send it to him, and we'd go back and forth, and he'd say, got it.
Is it fair to say then we're not comparing apples to apples?
I'm not sure.
What was stated?
I'm not sure who's comparing what to what. I'm just telling you, I didn't get involved.
The process we're doing right now, is it different than what was done in the past?
Significantly. These are the first negotiations I've been involved in for this township in 8 years.
One thing too, during our negotiations, usually there's a full-time person, like on staff, at least in municipalities, a lot of them. So, you have to consider if you have a part-time person doing it, I think they should be paid. Now, how much it is, I don't know. Like we did agree on $1 amount. But like I said, usually it's and I could be wrong, Mr. Siebert, but in a lot of communities, there's a full-time person in the city that does assist the attorneys.
Well, I'll give you a good example. Chesterfield Township has a human resource director.
Right.
Steve Duchesne. Steve is quite conversant in labor negotiations. He does all of their negotiations, 100%. So even though they have separate labor council, that council does not attend the negotiations as far as I know. Steve does it all. And then if he has legal questions he needs answered, he'll contact Labor Council, but he does it all. And he is a
Bob, I have a
top
question.
guy.
How much do you think that person gets paid? Just ballpark.
I don't know, he's an
100,000, 115?
Probably.
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 So Gary might top out at $8,000, $100 or so. Yeah. So he's the one who's being involved, he's the one who's being engaged with the attorney. I've heard the feedback of the meetings, and they're not very pleasant, because the only two people that seem to be participating, I know Stan has a little bit, but it's basically Mr. Siebert and Mr. Kopp. So, absolutely, the reason we talked about compensating Mr. Kopp on this right here is because he's walking in on behalf of the township and doing the union negotiations, of which you would typically hire that out, or, like Mr. Siebert said, you would have somebody internal that would handle that. We don't have that. But I guess this board could always turn around and hire somebody for $115,000, $125,000 to do that, because we don't have the skill set at the top to do negotiations.
And we don't have the class at the bottom level either. So, okay, so do we have a motion or any comments from the audience?
I didn't hear what he said.
I'll just add a comment, if I may.
Yeah.
Right? I just successfully negotiated 3 union contracts with the Village of Romeo and their non-office employees at $14 an hour. That's how much I got paid, $14. And we have 55 employees who now have new 5-year contracts. They're all happy.
And I remember when you doubled your pay by $30,000. No, ma'am.
Okay. What is the motion?
There is no motion.
Motion.
Okay.
Gary, what would you think is fair, sir? I mean, do we do a 2 to 1? Do we do a
I'm
1.5
kind of an
to 1?
innocent bystander here. I'm going to defer maybe the question to our attorney, because I know he has prep hours that he has to do prior to these meetings and things like that. Is there a standard protocol or something like that that you would employ?
No, I mean, these negotiations, we've had one meeting. Went well, but we could get this contract knocked out in 5 meetings. We could go through the end of the contract in March of next year and not have it done. Every negotiating session is different. Sometimes you're flying along and you get stuck. Other times they're a piece of cake. It just depends. It's like a lawsuit. The client says, how much is it going to cost to litigate it? Depends. This could be a lay down hand and we're out in 2 weeks. It could be a case that's going to go to the Supreme Court, see you in 5 years. It just depends. So I can't tell you. I mean, you could do an hourly rate not to exceed. I mean, again, this is up to the board. This is not a legal issue. This is a board policy issue.
Well, let me tell you over the last 2 days how much time I've spent on this. I've had conversations with Pam Hill. I know she was on sabbatical. I finally wound up talking to her on Monday, and I talked to her at length yesterday relative to the Excel document, which was provided and purchased by the township. I recommended some changes that needed to be made. I worked with that document today for probably a couple hours, at least 2 hours. And some of this information will be reported in closed session, so you'll get a chance to see the output from this. So when I look at this and I say, okay, how much time am I going to put into this? I really don't have a clue. I know this week so far I probably got 4 hours into it. Am I going to suggest that you pay me 4 hours? No, I'm not. Maybe what I could suggest is you pay me an hour prior and just for prep time. And, I'm going to take a bath on it. I know it. But the reality of it is I'd rather kick the ball down the road here and get this thing solved rather than sit here and debate how much money I'm going to be paid and what my time is worth. I think this is unfair to me. It's unfair to this board. So, Mr. Dykowski, I certainly appreciate the opportunity to weigh in on this, but I also suggest that if you would be willing to amend the motion and just say, okay, we'll pay you 1 hour of prep time, and be that as it may. And in keeping with that thought, I'm also open to the idea of hiring an attorney. You know, I don't have to do this.
Right.
I'm not here for the money. I got a lot of, sorry? I have a lot of other things that I can be doing with my time rather than sitting at home and negotiating Excel documents. So if the board's decision is to replace me and hire an attorney to do it, I'm all for it. Thank you.
You know, anybody who went to college, first thing they tell you in your freshman year is for every credit hour, figure 3 to 4 hours of study time. And if you don't do that, you're going to fail. Mr. Siebert, am I wrong there? I mean, you wouldn't have got through law school had you not studied, right? The ones of us here, you know, you got a master's, you got a bachelor's, you got an associate. You had to put time in for that right there. So, Mr. Kopp, I think in fairness to you, I think the 1 hour prep is too low, and I think we'd get too much screaming if I went 2 or 3. So I'd like to go in the middle and amend my motion to an hour and a half prep time prior, plus the hours in the meeting.
At the rate of $41 an hour?
Yes, sir. And how we came up with that rate, just so that the public knows, is we took the rate of the attorney, the clerk, and the supervisor, and we did a blended rate. And then we went below that. And then that's what he's getting paid per hour, below everybody else, to do the same job that they're sitting there during the day getting paid for. And I think that's fair.
I'll support.
Okay, motion by Dukowski, seconded by Olson. Roll call.
Tatowski?
Yes?
Olson?
Yes.
Pavidi?
No.
Nicely?
No.
Pollad?
Yes. Yes.
Kopp?
Yes.
And Babinski is a yes.
Okay, motion passed. We'll go to new business now. Building department request for a truck purchase. So we got a truck that came in.
Yeah, we got a truck that's available, let's say,
Available.
or going to be produced. As you know, we've had
being made.
difficulties getting vehicles. We've tried various sorts and means and to get them, one including going out and talking to Stellantis and finding a truck out there in the world for the fire department, to talking to local dealers to see what kind of provisions and prices they could provide us. Those were, of course, all higher than what we could get off this governmental site. So the truck that I'm proposing and making the motion to approve is the purchase of the F-350. I've talked to Dave Haskey regarding this. It meets the specifications of what he's looking for. He originally wanted an F-150. There is no plans, according to our supplier, of any F-150s being built in the future. He has 5 of these 350s out there available. The police responder vehicle that Chief had originally ordered over 2 years ago is finally going to be available next month, and he has decided he didn't want it. The building department said that it does not suit his needs for what he's doing as far as plowing and things of that nature. So someone could tell me what the price is on there of the 44,000 whatever dollars. Here, I got to it.
And it's in budget.
36,142.
So,
Is that it?
no, it's a 44,000.
44.
I gotta find it.
44,103.
44,102?
103. That would still give him room for the plow, or?
Yes. Again, in talking with Dave, he says he's budgeted 50,000 for this vehicle and plow equipment, so $6,000 should be more than ample to get this taken care of.
Well, I was.
And they are in need of a truck. Dave's truck is getting older. The other 2 gentlemen in the building department share a Ford Escort, so definitely in need.
I will support that motion. We did have a discussion, Stan and I, prior to the meeting because we could not find it in the budget. So I would like you to amend the motion a little bit to, as long as it's in the approved budget.
And I'm fine with that amendment.
Thank you. Because I know they do need one.
Stan, is there any issues with the fact that it's going to be white instead of red? Is he okay with that?
Well, so, yeah, no, he said he's fine with it. At this point, I don't think they would take pink with purple polka dots.
Okay, whatever comes in, right? Okay. That's kind of the way the market is right now.
Basically, on both those vehicles for DPW and that, either white or red, same thing with fire department.
Okay.
Any questions from the audience? Otherwise, there was a motion.
I did.
You did?
He just
Okay.
seconded.
And I second it.
Okay,
Yep.
so motion by Babinski, seconded by Dukowski. Roll call?
Babinski's a yes. Datowski?
Yes.
Olson?
Yes.
Reviti?
Yes.
Nicely?
Yes.
Olad?
Yes.
And Cop?
Yes.
Motion passed. Next is for Fire ALS request for a Stryker Power Pro 2.
Thank you for having me back. It's a good segue to follow Clerk Babinski's, conversation on how out of the norm we are with lead time and supply chain issues, and things that used to be off the shelf are ridiculously long. And this board has kept pace with our requests from the fire department on things like ambulances. As you may recall, we're 2 years into a remount that should have been just a few months with no end in sight, perhaps 2024. We asked for, luckily found an ambulance. We came to the board and we got one of those. It's just kind of been like that last year and a half. There's really no normal request or requisition to this board, and this one kind of follows suit. And I will rely on your expertise to guide me. With that, every request that you get from me, my office, or my department gives you as much information as possible with the history, the rationale, the cost, benefit, and the needs analysis. And I tried to do that with this. I think for me, it's fairly simple, but I may need to explain it to you. So let me get to the point. Several months ago, when you approved that new ambulance that we found, with that, there was this Stryker power load package, which is a power stretcher and a power load. That's a requirement today with the newer ambulances. We got the Power Pro XT cot, if you will, a couple weeks ago after several months. We're still waiting on the power load that goes into the truck. Over the last several months, as we're waiting for this, Stryker did the next generation of the power cot, for lack of a better word. It's been out there a little bit, and I've been kind of watching it, but it's been out long enough now to where it caught my attention, and it brings me before you today. It's next generation. It's going to take the place of the cots that are out there today. It's of course, a new battery system, new charging system. I listed some of the benefits and the rationale for me being before you today. One is, we've got an ambulance fleet that's got the older generation today. It's probably good. The FDA covers medical equipment, and they dictate how long that stuff is sustained or parts are still available. The systems we run today are probably going to be good for 6 to 7 years based on FDA. But Stryker is certainly transitioning to this next generation, the Power Pro 2. On page 2, I list out some of the rationale that brought me before you today. If we do this today, we save on, and you've heard this to death from everyone that's here, the next price increase, right? Which is about 8 to 10%. I believe it's in October where that's forthcoming. Okay, so I do consider that. But some of the other stuff that weighed heavier on me was the heavier lift. The tighter turning radius is a big deal for us in our homes and in our businesses as we ambulate our patients from whatever structure they're in to the back of the ambulance. And then the way that it's transported at a lower level of gravity, which caught my eye as well. But really, at the end of the day, what we're going to need to do is get approval, of course, and I believe it was with the battery, the charger, and the upgrade to the Power Pro 2, an additional $6,719.28. We have got a PO out there today for $28,970.46 that was approved a ways back. We did pay for the stretcher. We still owe for the Power Pro. Stryker, if approved, will send us a credit for that invoice, and we'll pay the difference of $6,719.28. A little bit confusing, certainly for Heidi in finance and accounting. I believe it's probably a little bit confusing for you. Simply put, I'm really asking for you to weigh in with your experience and your, work experience. Is this a good move? I believe it is, otherwise it wouldn't be before you. I would not be truthful if I said we couldn't function just fine as we are. I worry about missing an opportunity to go to that next platform. It's certainly going to be there. That's the way forward. Of course, they didn't keep the same batteries or chargers. We're jumping to a new system there. The timing is the only thing in question, and if it's worth $6,700.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the increase, which will bring the new total up to $54,048.86.
Is that right? No, it's just an additional 6,700.
Right, but what it's going to do is, originally we approved $47,329.61. So now we're just going to approve the additional, which will bring the new purchase order price up to $54,048.
No, they're crediting us for the one that we.
I understand that. So, all right, I'll restate it then. We'll just do the amount then.
If I may, underneath like that estimated cost, I tried to make this as simple as I could.
I know.
I struggled with it.
So what was that number,
1928.
Right here. So we're just adding that to the
Yes,
original PO.
and that is the number to use to add to the original purchase order. 6719.28.
Okay.
I'll support.
Any questions on that?
Sorry, I retotal POs all the
Thank you.
time, so I'm used to it.
Sorry, the county went another way to figure it out.
If no questions, okay, motion by Dukowski, seconded by Olson.
Yep.
Roll call.
Tatowski?
Yes.
Olson?
Yes.
Nicely?
Yes.
Kopp?
Yes.
Reviti?
Yes.
Olad?
Yes.
Babinski's a yes.
Motion passed. Thank you. Next is discussion of traffic speed sign for the township. Last month, I gave the board pricing on electronic boards for radar for speed throughout the township that we could own instead of going through the county sheriff's department, that we could utilize throughout the township, whether you'd like to buy one or a couple or more. And this way we could use it throughout the year rather than through the county, we're only limited a few weeks throughout the year. So I don't know if
I just have a
you
question.
guys need more time or.
Are we going to be the ones moving them around? Are we asking the police department to move these things around? How does that work?
The police would move it
Okay.
wherever we ask them to move it. And the more expensive units have the USB capability, or what do you call that? USB that sticks in for the
Yeah.
data and stuff.
And
The lighter, the,
do we have to get the county's approval to do that as well? I mean, how does that all?
Yeah.
It's going to be in my mouth if it goes any closer. I was asking the question as to whether or not we needed to contact first the police. They're going to move it around, is what Sam had told me. And then secondly, I want to know if we have to get a hold of the county road commission since it's going to be on their roads. Or do those two collaborate to make that happen? I don't know.
yeah, I can't answer, I guess, 100%. I mean, if you guys want to hold off, we could have the sheriff at the next meeting, or,
That might be.
I thought it'd be, I mean, that's
Sounds like we
fine.
need more information.
Okay. But as far as I was told, yeah, they're free to move them around throughout the township. I mean, the one we had from the county, I told them to put it in Glacier, and then we moved it to West and then 28, so for those 2 weeks, because we were getting a lot of speeding down
How did it work?
Glacier Club.
What kind of results did you get out of it?
I'm waiting to get them back.
Okay.
As soon as we get them, yeah.
And that would be
Obviously, a lot of speeding.
Yeah, that would be another factor to look.
And then I know West Road, with that getting paved, I'm sure that's going to be the new speed zone now, so I'd like to put something on West Road, obviously, to kind of monitor that. So some of them are solar powered, some of them are not, but like I said, if it's better, I can have them at the next meeting. We could just, whatever you call it, table it or. That's fine. Yeah, no, it's fine.
Has there been any consideration given to, there's units out there that mount on a pole, mount on a telephone pole, whatever, that you could just side mount it right there, got solar.
Yeah, those are the more reasonable
Just leave it
ones.
there forever instead of having it on a trailer and just sporadically put them around the township.
Yeah, those were the more reasonable ones. Those
Well,
actually
these
bolt
are all
on.
on trailers from what I'm seeing here.
He was saying like on, some of them have,
Yeah, yeah.
right,
So
it's
some of
like a
them,
street sign and you just attach one of
Sign
these.
thing, there's no
That's-
trailer,
this one
there's
for
nothing.
Oh,
This-
Not that
that-
one. Oh, maybe it's
I
the
think it's
trailer. I'm
still
sorry.
showing a trailer. He's just
Okay.
saying, without the trailer, a
yeah, they mount
regular
right on
speed
the
sign.
Yeah. Yeah, we could do
look
that,
for that
yeah.
too and see if there's, what those costs are.
Okay, yeah.
Because I see
I'll
those
have
all
the-
around in, you know, in another state,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
quite
Rochester has
effective.
it, over
Yeah.
in Parkdale.
I
they
know
have that.
on Mountain Road south of 26, they have it flashing there.
Yep, exactly, by St. Karen's.
Yeah, by St. Carrie.
Yeah, and there might be some areas that we just want to have that there all the time instead of
Yeah.
moving this thing around.
I've seen several of them too, and I think they're effective even in subdivisions because,
Yeah, no, definitely.
you know, it kind of alerts you, kind of look at your, see how fast you're going. And just like there's one east of Rochester going towards, Rochester going towards Tinkin Road. And I think those are effective with the stationary ones, and if it's not that costly, just to install them.
The only negative I've heard from people is that when we do that, especially if it's a permanent location, some people like to test to see how fast they're going and compare. So
Well, we just put
then
a
we got to
governor.
have the police there watching when that's
Yeah.
happening and letting them know it does occur. But that's the only negative I've heard about it. I know my street would love having one every once in a while because people in the back of the sub think because it's a straightaway that they're on 29 Mile Road and you're not, so.
But, okay, I'll make sure he's at the next meeting and maybe we'll get more pricing on the other, the station, what would they be called, stationary ones?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Or whatever.
Whatever one that attaches to a sign.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I thought that $2,000 one was
Yeah.
that one. Okay, so we'll table 10.3.
It'll be on 8/24?
Yeah,
Or just
sure.
let me know if it.
Yeah, it should, yeah, hopefully.
If he can't
24.
be here, just let me know and I'll take it off.
Next item is 10.4, the Van Dyke Industrial Utility Extension. So I'll let Mike.
Sitting at my desk so everyone can hear me. Good evening, everyone. Before you have a proposal for engineering survey, geotech environmental design, and bidding services related to extending water and sewer along the east side, mostly along the east side of Van Dyke from 28 to 29 Mile Road to service the existing industrial district there. Everything on that east side of the road is currently zoned industrial, but there is only water and sewer right at the corner. It's some of the older sewer that was originally installed in the township when the existing trailer park on the south side of 28 needed sewer, but it's never been extended north. And the properties there have kind of been stagnant in terms of development as true industrial properties. There is a site plan that has been submitted for the old golf range that is there to turn that into self-storage. They're just early in the site plan process, but we have met with them a couple times. They will need water and sewer there to construct what they're proposing. They have at least preliminarily indicated that they would enter into a cost-sharing agreement to cover the costs for their frontage of those assets. And then similarly, the existing Sherman and Associates building at the northeast corner has changed ownership and is looking at connecting to the municipal water there to provide fire protection for that building and obviously domestic water service. So they will need to extend some main along their frontage as well. So this is a project that's been in the 5-year capital improvement plan since forever. I would say probably since we've been around. Previous administration included this, but we kept kind of pushing it off until there was really something to move it forward rather than just pushing it down everyone's throats to say we're going to go build this. So this seemed like the right time to design the whole stretch, but do it in phases. So this first phase could go just from the existing corner up to the northern property lines of that proposed self-storage facility. And then, depending on timing, interest to the north, we could build, excuse me, build the second phase at any time after that or at the same time. Just really depends on the interest. There has been some preliminary interest in some of those existing vacant properties that are there. But we would enter into an agreement with both of those property owners to share some of that cost and really cover the majority of the phase one portion of the construction. Like I said, this has been in the 5-year capital plan. There's no dollars in this year's budget to construct it, but we wouldn't build anything in this fiscal year anyway by the time it gets designed and permitted. There's some wetlands along the stretch and easements that need to be secured from all these property owners. So that would fall into next year anyway. But like I said, it's a 5-year plan, or it's in the 5-year plan and has been budgeted as a part of water and sewer funds for at least 10 or 12 years. We just keep kind of pushing it until there was an interest. So I think, and this would take sewer all the way up now to basically the northern limit of the central district at 29 in Van Dyke. It extends just a little bit past that. The township does own property, if you recall, north of the Rite Aid, and kind of looping around that Rite Aid. That's a portion of the Aikman property that does not have sanitary sewer service, and this could provide that. It would also loop into the existing water main that runs along 29 Mile Road, and really would open up that whole corridor to both redevelopment and expansion of what's there. There's a lot of sites that have a couple buildings on them, but large septic areas in the rear that they just can't build on right now. Any questions?
I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
In your letter, you mentioned that there's going to be some shared cost. Do you have any idea how much percentage-wise or would help to pay for some of the construction?
The self-storage parcel is between 500 and 600 feet of frontage. The Sherman piece, I think, is about
700.
a little more than 8.
Yeah.
So you're at 1,500 feet. The whole thing's 6,500. So hang on. 20% would be at least those two properties. And like I said, the limit of the phase one we're proposing would go just north of the existing golf range site. There's a single family home there that's actually 2 lots, one of which is a very strange little 30-foot wide lot that is owned by the same person as the house. So we would extend the sewer at least to the north end of that house. But the bulk of that would be taken care of in those cost share agreements. And then as you extend it north, as people connect in, obviously there's a frontage fee. That frontage fee doesn't recoup every dollar of the construction costs, and especially because we only really would be serving one side of the street. It's a unique situation where the Macomb Orchard Trail is on the west side of Van Dyke there, and the GLWA 96-inch water main is over there, so we're going to be on the opposite side. But it's about 20% of that frontage of the whole lane.
And one more question.
Sure.
Looking at the summary sheet, the estimate cost was $4,704,000, and then what are the soft costs of 25%?
Sure. So our estimates are all set up basically the same way. There's a hard construction cost. Depending upon the detail of the estimate, we always include a contingency of the estimate. In this case, it's 10% because we've really gone through and looked at every single property and said, here's where the pipe's going to go. Here's where it has to cross the road. So we have a really fine idea. So we've brought that down to 10%. That gives you a total estimated construction cost of the $5.1 million. And then 25% for soft cost covers, well, the proposal that we have before you tonight on the design side. And then on the construction side, it would cover inspection of the project by Public Works or by us, material testing during construction, permits, any attorney fees to negotiate those cost share agreements. Hopefully easement costs are very minimal because these are existing properties that want this project to go forward. Our construction admin services and engineering services during construction, and then as-built. So it's really kind of all of the design services from the beginning of the project to the end.
But this wouldn't happen probably for a couple of years anyway.
Yeah, I mean, best case, we could build phase one next year. Like I said, that site is just in the preliminary stages of site plan. So by the time they get through the planning commission, get engineering approval, and start building, we'd need to have at least that first phase done. So we would design it as a whole project, but kind of split it off so that if we had to go to bid with kind of an early package to keep them, get their service to them as a part of whatever that, there's going to be some dates in that agreement, right? If you're building a utility that, whatever millions of dollars this site is dependent upon, you know, we've done agreements like that before where, you know, we'll have construction done by a certain date so that they have those services.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Mike, is there any danger from that Sherman facility of leakage that may be contaminated into the water system as they do on their constructions?
As we're building?
Yes.
I don't know until we really, you know, until construction obviously begins. But for the most part, if you look at the sketch that's there, the sewer actually already goes up about a quarter of the way into the Sherman property. The water main's going to actually be on the opposite side of the street. For their parcel, we have an existing 8-inch water main that's over by the trail that we're going to replace with a larger main, because it's really the only place we can put a pipe. And then we would cross the street right at their north property line. So we'd really only be building a small stretch of sewer in front of them. But without, you know, we'll do soil borings along this whole stretch. Obviously, if there's anything suspicious in those soil borings, it would require some more environmental. And we will have an environmental wetland walk the entire 6,600 feet. There are a few small areas of wetlands. Okay. So.
And we've had conversations already with ITC. I know they can be a pain in their sides in getting through. Have we had any initial contact with them?
We have discussed this with them. Their understanding is that because the towers that are out there are in the right-of-way, they don't believe, and they're checking, but they may only have vegetation easements that would extend into those properties where we're trying to put these utilities, but they don't believe that there's any hard easement related to, well, we need the permission to build a utility there. Physically, the towers are going to be an obstruction that requires us to push those utilities a little bit further away from the road. That would be much more of a concern if these were single-family lots and we were trying to negotiate easements with people who maybe didn't want the project to happen or weren't totally excited about it. But this is going to benefit the property owners significantly.
Mike, is this something that comes out of the DPW budget, or is this something that comes out of a bond account?
This is a part of water and sewer funds. So, like I said, the budget, the annual, and UFS will be, you know, analyzing everything again like they do every year for you guys. This is a project that's listed in the total capital spend that they plan for over the course of a couple of years with rates adjustments as needed to make sure that there's cash for it. And we've been carrying this one and the Hayes Road sewer, either, you know, replacement extension, something south of 26. We keep in that 5 and 10-year plan so that the dollars are there because those are going to be bigger spends.
Any questions from the audience? Any other questions from the board?
Is this going to cause an increase of water rates to Washington Township residents?
So again, the UFS will be able to speak a little bit clearer on how these capital projects factor into the rates, but the construction and the budgeting of this project has already been factored into previous year adjustments. Obviously, water rates haven't increased in 3 or 4 years now? 5 years. Boom.
5 years.
The tower was the best thing. I call it a tower. The tank was the best thing we could do. But yeah, it's already been kind of cooked into what we're doing with those rates. But you'll see when UFS goes through that how they come up with that, basically looking at the 1 and 2 year plan and then the 5 and 10 year plan to make sure that they're always allocating for those.
And they use maximum usage, so they're presuming a industrial facility of some sort would be moving in there?
Where at, I'm sorry?
In that land there, when we were calculating how much water usage, I'm sure if something really small there, like a storage facility, they're not going to use a whole lot of water, but if you put a large industrial plant in there, they may use a lot more water.
This will be a 16-inch water main that's going to be looped on both the north and south ends, that we're confident can give all the fire protection you need and all the water you can use.
Well, what I was talking about is the rates. So when Cindy was asking rates, are they making assumptions on the amount of water usage in those places? Because we're buying X amount of water per year.
They look at the demands based on population growth, not necessarily commercial and industrial, because you guys are so heavy residential. And I don't want to speak out of turn in what
Yeah.
UFS, but he'll explain. They basically look at how your population growth has been over the past, 4 or 5 years, and they project that forward. What we're finding, and GLWA is finding this regionally, is even though communities like Washington Township are growing at, let's say, 5%, your water use is only growing at like 1.5%. Because, again, and I think I've told you guys this before, the efficiency of appliances, toilets, shower heads really has brought down what we used to assume a person would use 100 gallons per day.
Right.
No one uses that. It's not, with irrigation, some of your homes do, but just basic domestic use, it's just not there. So it's a little tough for them to guess on what kind of industrial users you're going to get and commercial users. And they may cook something in there, but they could speak better to that than I can.
Rich, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
And I don't know if you know the answer or not, I'm sorry to throw you under this, but do you know our commercial usage, what percentage of water usage is coming from our commercial? I know some of the larger companies, I know, use a lot, but do you know what percentage they use and when they're using it?
Yeah, we can get you that. I mean, we can have Heather work on that because she has that stuff. She's the one that does that.
Yeah, because I know when we're monitoring whether people
Yeah.
are using a lot,
And
we're
it's-
having a lot of the issues of people that are
Like that
not following our water rate, not water rate, but the water irrigation. They're typically our commercial people that are using the most water and
One of our
water.
biggest ones is the car wash on 26 Mile. So,
Okay.
and it's all during the day.
Yeah, and that's what I was, the other
Yeah.
concern was daily usage during the day versus at night. I would think a commercial is going to use a lot more during the day than they would at nighttime.
That business that you're talking about needs water needs flow for fire suppression, which is a lot more important than
Yeah.
what they use inside.
But you are primarily residential use, and then in the summer, it's the amount of irrigation relative to the wintertime, it's 4 times as much. I mean, we can show you kind of the daily tracking, and it's a lot of water going out of the grass.
I don't know the answer. Do we charge a different rate for water usage for commercial and industrial than we do from residential, like we do on taxes?
The volume of water cost is the same. The meter cost is different because you're getting a bigger meter typically for a commercial or non-residential use. But for every
But that's pretty much
thousands
a
of cubic feet,
one-time
it's the
payment
same
for
amount.
that.
Yeah, the actual commodity rate for the water itself is the same.
Same.
Is that something that we should look at? Or is that something you can't look at?
That's a good UFS question. I don't know legality-wise. Again, if you can really vary that, I honestly don't know. But I think it's pretty standard that again, the commodity's the same, but the pipe that it's coming through and the meter that it's going through, that's where the fees are going to be different. So the fixed fees for a commercial use are going to be higher every month. They have a larger meter. There's more maintenance associated with that, all of that. Their demand for the potential to use water is higher, right? Because they have a bigger pipe.
During the peak demand hours?
Or
actually
even just on a random Tuesday in January, that commercial building can use more water and needs more system behind it than just a single-family house would, so that they're going to have a higher cost. But if they both buy the same amount of water, the actual water is the same.
Okay. No other questions? Then I'll make a motion to approve the extension of the Van Dyke Industrial Utility. Do I gotta say the dollar amount?
Is that just for phase 1, Sam?
I mean, I'd like to do at least phase 1. Yeah, I'd like to do phase 1.
Just phase 1?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I'm just,
We
Yeah.
haven't
Not talking
split it
6
out.
million.
This design is for everything.
The design
And then
part.
we would come back to you with the bid package to what we would actually build. So again, as always,
Right.
you are not approving to spend a penny on putting pipe in the ground right now. You're just doing the design. Design it as a full project. It'll be automatically phased. I'm not going to come back. Whoa, heard myself talking. I'm not going to come back to you and say, oh, it's extra money to do it as two separate packages. We're going to do it as two separate packages.
Okay.
But we would design the whole thing, and then you have the option, depending upon timing and cost of everything, right? If we're standing here next year and everything's 15% more than it is this year, you may want to wait because you don't have a user to the north.
So that's
But-
the 411, 195?
Correct.
Correct.
But you would have a commitment made, with these property owners to at least do the first phase
Yep.
from a construction standpoint. Sorry.
Okay, so my motion will be for the design aspect of 411, 195.
Support.
Supported by Cap. If no questions, roll call.
Praviti?
Yes.
Cop?
Yes.
Polad?
Yes.
Nicely?
Yes.
Babinski is a yes. Olson?
Yes,
And Tatowski?
Yes.
Okay, motion passed.
Thank you very much.
thank you, Mike.
Okay, next is elected officials update. I guess I have more events, I guess, to read, so that's next. I would like, if the board's okay, to do the ARPA workshop before next meeting, the August 24th at 4 o'clock.
I'd
We can discuss
respectfully
that.
ask we do it at least a week earlier. I have commitments, and I know when we talked about this
Okay.
last time, that we said that we would do it at this meeting here. I don't know what happened, that it changed, because we weren't notified until 45 minutes prior to the meeting that it was canceled.
Okay, do you want to do it the 17th?
If that is okay with the board, I can do the 17th. I apologize, I can't do the 24th, I have commitments already. If that's okay with
Is
the board.
the 17th okay for everybody else?
Yes.
Well, while we're talking about this ARPA meeting getting canceled today, can we get an answer to why and how it got canceled? This is the third meeting now that's gotten canceled at the last minute, I think due to not being posted properly.
Yeah, I announced it at last meeting. I thought Stan was handling, Stan thought I was handling it, and it got missed. So now we posted it. But if we're changing it to the 17th, we'll move it.
So in the future, do we know who's responsible for posting these meetings? So this doesn't happen again? This is the third time we've had to cancel a meeting.
I would like to ask that if workshops are being done, Stan, if you can have Rachel do those and set that up, put them on the website and
Okay.
put the posting out on there, because that's the way we've been doing them, so.
Okay, I'll do that.
Are we talking about 4 o'clock again? 4 to 5, I think is what the time was?
Is that okay with everyone?
I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with that,
Okay.
yeah. I just couldn't do the 24th.
So the
I apologize,
17th.
but I
That's
had
fine.
prior commitments.
17th.
17 at 4 o'clock?
Thank you. We'll just have to update the sign and the windows out there.
Yeah, we'll change that on the website.
Thank you.
The other things I guess I'll wait for community announcement. I know Gary wants to
Yeah.
present something.
Let everybody else can go through, because I'm
You
going to
have
take
any?
probably 5 or 10 minutes. and
So this weekend, coming up Saturday the 13th, we have our hazardous waste from 9 a.m. till 1 p.m. It is on the website as to what materials are allowable and what's not allowed. Looking for volunteers to stand there and we count cars and talk to people and wave and joke, and it's supposed to be nice and 82 and sunny, no rain again, so that's good. Can't remember, somewhere between 300 and 500 cars come through on this, so it's a pretty popular event.
Oh, I do want to say, so at the last meeting, we voted for Priority Waste as our new waste hauler beginning October 1st. They are putting together a newsletter that'll be mailed to all the residents around the end of August, explaining everything. There'll be no change to your pickup date, and you're free to use your existing bins that you do have. They are asking for people to sign up early. So they're going to be sending out this newsletter, so we'll post it online. Is everything okay there?
Yep, and it's October 1st is when we officially switch.
Yeah, so September 15th, there'll be a in-house here at the boardroom, so people can come in and sign up with Priority Waste. if you'd like to sign up. You have to sign up for the service. So you can sign up, or you could, Saturday, the 17th of September, during our paper shredding, they'll be set up here as well, if people want to stop in and sign up. And then I believe they got a third date, September 20th. I'll confirm all 3 dates. And that'll be listed in the newsletter, so they're hoping people will come out, and you can sign up electronically. Here, they'll help you set up through the whole process, or when you get the newsletter at home, you can feel free to sign up on yourself. Are you ready?
Okay.
Okay.
Can you zap me up there?
Sorry, Mike, did you? Wait,
Oh, we didn't turn it on. Okay. All right, take a break, smoke them if you got them. I did, but how do we do that?
Eric, can you do us a favor and maybe hit the lights over there? We see you.
Wake up, Stan.
I don't fall asleep that quick. It takes me hours to fall asleep. Toss, turn,
The TV doesn't watch.
yeah.
Didn't do it? Not recording anything? Well, it's got me, but it's not it. It's not sharing the screen.
We'll go to cancel. Let's try this one.
Okay.
Hit share.
Yeah. Yep. You don't know.
Okay. You got everything but sharing. I apologize for this. I thought this was going to be pretty simple, but it's not.
Oh. Do you know on the 17th?
It's during.
Okay, so that would be 9 to 12 then.
Stand by, we got a solution.
Front.
Pardon me, sir.
Maybe all gonna show up. That'll be congestion over that way. Yeah. Saturday that this is what's going to be coming up. Because it works out good doing that.
As you can see, it's working.
Your 3 minutes is almost up. Joe, are you worried we're going to change the, our verdict on what we're going to do with your sidewalk?
All right, well, thank you for giving me the opportunity to take you through this. I'll go back to the first slide. The introduction to this is I attended a conference in Frankenmuth on July 11th and 12th, and basically what I'm going to do is run through some of the things that I learned while I was there. Some of the things that I learned are going to surprise you, as they did myself, but nonetheless, this is something for the board to ponder and consider. And as we go through this, you'll understand what I'm relaying to you. So the conference topics were defining your township's land use future, and this was a full day on that. And then the following day was strategic planning for townships, and then making meetings work. Under land use, the number one complaint is traffic, and I think we as a board understand that because whenever we talk about anything, traffic always seems to be the number one complaint that people say, well, you're gonna put in 300 units and the traffic is gonna go up. kind of like standard things. So they agree with that. They're advocating a need for a budget for planning. The instructor was from Dublin, Ohio, and he said they had 12 planners on staff. So if you've ever been to Dublin, Ohio, I have not, but apparently it's a very nice town because of all the planning that they've done. They're also advocating training both PC and ZBA members, and they should continue to train, and it should be a condition of reappointment. So PC and ZBA members, they should not be stagnant in their role. MTA puts on courses on an annual basis, and what they're advocating is have the people trained. If the people don't get trained, it's probably time to reappoint somebody else that would. Minutes of all meetings should be shared. PC, ZBA, and Board of Trustee meetings, all the meeting minutes should be shared across all of those platforms. And the land use policy is defined by the master plan. What is a community vision? Well, there's three things that you need to have. You need to have a requirement, you need to have a process, and you need to have an outcome. 50% of your time should be spent on defining your goals. What is your land use? What does your master plan look like? The master plan should be no more than 40 pages maximum. And the master plan can take 12 to 18 months to develop. Zoning, who is enforcing it? There's a thing called aging in place, housing, health, transportation, and employment. This is things looking out for the senior citizens in the community. Placemaking, where we live, and the town centers, kind of like our downtown district. And form-based codes, use physical form rather than separation of land use. And basically what this says is if I want to put two buildings next door to one another, they may not fit the local zoning, but because the architecture is such that it would enhance the neighborhood or the area, we could give variances for that kind of thing. Health and wellness, bike routes, which we certainly have here in the community, pathways, sidewalks, paths and trails, and access to food. Things like farmers markets, community gardens, and urban farms, things that you can use for your community development. What is a master plan? It's a statement of policy written and adopted by the Planning Commission describing the desired physical development of the community. The plan is based on the resources, assets, and limitations of the land, the character of the community, and the needs and desires of the residents. And there's an asterisk here because it says also that the Township Board can overrule the Planning Commission. Strategic planning for townships. The strategic plan drives the master plan. And their analogy is you can't have a valid master plan without a strategic plan. You need vision, you need a strategic plan, and then you need a plan to develop and actually implement that plan. The Board of Trustees should appoint a change leadership team. I don't know exactly what that means, but they're advocating a team that actually does this. And then scanning for future environment, things like political, economical, social, technological, environmental, and legal landscapes to include in your strategic plan. If you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. And I think that's the summary of why you need a strategic plan. You create a shared vision between the Board of Trustees and the community. Leadership and strategic planning, as you define the direction, you'll need 2 to 3 years in order to plan this out. Assure the availability of the resources that you think you're going to need, and then maintain oversight to make sure that they actually happen. Assure effective operational planning, and then monitor the progress. You assess the current situation, and the four things that they talked about were look at your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your potential threats. And those are all about getting a potential strategic plan in place. So you play to your strengths. You plan a route to get there, you create a tactical plan, and then you decide is the plan executable. Define your directions, what your outcomes are, and your long-range goals. How will you know if you're successful? And then you review this periodically for validity. One of the things that came up on the second day was this thing about the agenda. And this is I'll give you an example of what they recommend in terms of what your agenda should actually look like. Items to be approved should be first on the agenda. The logic for that is if you do to Maria like we did at the last meeting where we put her on at the end, you know, the board's tired, the residents are tired, everybody's tired, and yet here you're making major decisions which you're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars, and most of the board is burned out from all the discussions that they've had. So they're advocating put the important things that you need to discuss at the top of the agenda. They also suggest not to use old and new business. You organize your agenda by importance. And the most important topics obviously come first. The board table they're suggesting should be round, so all board members can see and hear each other. For the Pledge of Allegiance, they actually said if you are able to stand for the pledge, because there are some handicapped folks that can't necessarily stand up. So they're advocating for changing the words for, instead of will you rise and participate in the Pledge of Allegiance, if you're able to stand, please do. You design the agenda to be useful. The agenda should define what needs to be accomplished. Not what is to be discussed, but what is to be decided. Items to be approved. Oh, let's see, I think I just did that, didn't I?
Yep, you did.
Okay, let me go back. There we go. Wrong arrow. So here's an example of one that they actually gave us to take back. At the beginning of the meeting, you call to order. You do your consent agenda, and then citizens' comments comes in at the beginning. Then there's action items, and what they're suggesting is things like you put on the budget or on the agenda, approve the 2023 budget, and you associate that with a question, and I think Robert's rules would support this. Does the budget support our strategic plan? That's the question. So as the board debates these things, this is the question that ultimately they have to answer. So when you read the agenda, you know exactly what the question is, you know exactly what the board is discussing, and you know what the outcome from that discussion needs to be. Future positioning, learning discussion about an issue critical to the future of the organization. How are the demographics of our township changing? Another question. If we made a strategic decision based on that information, what would that focus look like? Operational concerns, things that are on a day-to-day basis, oral reports when possible, tracking strategic plan progress, update from the staff. Board self-assessment, they advocate that the board should actually do a self-assessment after every meeting. You know, did you accomplish what you set out to do? Did you use your time wisely? Is everybody getting along? What can we do to improve future meetings? And any announcements that come up would come up at the end, and then obviously adjournment. The Board of Trustees should never engage the public in conversation on any agenda item except when open to public input. The Board of Trustee members were elected by the people that they represent. At the board table, the Board of Trustee members should already know what the public requires on a board question. That question is on the agenda. The board members should have already discussed it and know exactly what that question needs to be answered and how the public would wish them to vote on it. The Board of Trustee meetings are business meetings. They are not public discussions. Allowing the public to speak on any or all agenda items adds to the meeting time length and should be redundant to what should already be understood by the board. The only time the public should speak is during public comment. The board should never engage in discussions during public comments. The board should listen and take notes. The supervisor should thank the speaker. How to decide what agenda items go on the agenda? Well, they're defined in writing. What is the nature of the issue? How should the issues like this be decided? How much board time do we want to spend on an issue? Does this need to be decided by us? What do we need to learn about to make an informed decision? And what should we need to learn from the community in order to decide? Sometimes these things, we don't have enough information, we should table it and ask the residents what their opinion is. But according to the agenda, you should already know what the opinion is. But sometimes you just don't have enough information to make a decision. Minutes. This is going to surprise a lot of people. The board members should destroy their handwritten notes after the board minutes are approved. The recorded minutes do not require the motioner and seconder to be recorded. Once a motion is seconded, it is owned by the board. No public comment should be entertained. The public elected the board to be their voice. Research should already have been completed, and the board should know how the residents feel about a topic. Videotape of the meeting should be destroyed after the meeting minutes are approved. So I said, there's a surprise. The written minutes are the legal document of the board's efforts. The legal documents for the meetings are to be printed minutes, not the video. Supervisor's role. Supervisor's role is to ensure proper governance. It's the integrity of the government. The supervisor should never state their opinion on an initial motion. For obvious reasons. If the supervisor says, well, I think this should really pass, it tends to bias the rest of the board. Supervisor should state the motion, but never state an opinion on it until the discussion point. The supervisor or presider should give a brief history of how the issue made it to the agenda and identify what decision needs to be made. And again, that should be on the agenda. Make sure all opinions are heard. Once all opinions are heard, then it's time to discuss the motion. There's this thing called the Committee of the Whole, and a lot of the state townships are doing this, and I can just briefly walk you through it. They do the first meeting of the month is used as a planning meeting. So although it's still covered under OMA, in our case, the first meeting of the month would be an open meeting where you conduct the meeting as a committee of the whole. The committee of the whole cannot make a decision. They discuss things. Then the second meeting is used to make those decisions. This allows for shorter business meetings, as all discussions on a topic were had at the committee meeting prior. Board communication. This one kind of surprised me. The rule of thumb is 55% of communication today is by body language, 38% is by tone, and 7% is in the words that are used. That was shocking to me. Conflict is based on personality, not ideas. Motivations that drive conflict are to prove that you're right, to prove another person wrong, to dominate another, or to avoid domination. What is the motivation to keep the conflict going, and what is the payoff? An active listening requires you to use your ears, your eyes, and your heart. So the summary, big hitters for Washington Township. Develop a strategic plan before the master plan. We're already in the middle of the master plan, so this is going to be a little bit tough to do, but they're suggesting that in order to have an effective master plan, you should have a strategic plan. You got to know where you're going. Stop public comment on agenda items except those open for public input. Rework the agenda. Prioritize discussions. State the discussion to be made, not the topic. Share all meeting minutes between ZBA, PC, and the Board of Trustees. And the supervisor should manage the meeting, not lead it. Video of the meeting should only be aired until the meeting minutes have been approved. This was a long, interesting discussion that I had on this one because I did not understand what they were talking about. But the reality of it is they said, if for any reason something goes in front of a court and somebody pulls out a video and says, well, Judge, I would like you to watch this video, the judge is going to say, I want to watch the video at all. It's not admissible. All I want to see is what your meeting minutes say. That's the legal document that dictates and understands what goes on here on a daily basis. So that was kind of an interesting topic, but I'm sure that destroying the meeting minutes after the meeting minutes or the videos after the meeting minutes are approved is going to probably drive WBRW crazy, but that's what they're suggesting. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. Hopefully I haven't put you to sleep. At Ford, we used to call this death by PowerPoint. So anybody died out there, just let me know. But, are there any questions? I'm sure there are. I'm sure there's 100.
We're not allowed to ask them according to that.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you're right. Thanks.
Gary?
I do have video. I do have the PowerPoint presentations that were given at the meeting. So if anybody's interested, just give me a shout. Those? Okay.
Gary?
Okay, Lois, okay, will do.
Again, I just
Gary?
comment.
I have a comment.
Okay.
Go ahead, Dana.
You sure? Should we do rock, paper, scissors? No?
Okay, sure.
I just wanted to comment on the strategic vision goals on the June 20th master plan workshop. That was the premises of that whole workshop, and we already have that implemented into our master plan, so.
So I can't remember the acronym, but the Clerks Association is where we implemented some of those things such as unfinished business, the closed session, used to be called executive session.
Right.
So a little bit of difference between what those two organizations are saying. I'm sure Mr. Siebert may have some comments regarding what he's seeing by them as well. Board can discuss and decide what we want to move and change but.
Yeah, and that's pretty much what I'm suggesting, is this is information to be used. You know, if it's deemed necessary that you want to try making a change on the agenda, what they recommended was try it for 3 months. If you like it, keep it. If you don't, go back to the way you were doing it before. So I don't know that there's a motion that has to be made as much as it's just a, hey, I'd really like to try that kind of a thing and, you know, and try it, but it's
I
entirely
would
up to
really
the
like
board.
you to try that kind of thing and take care of.
I get to take care of it too. Thanks a lot.
In your spare time.
Yeah, my spare time. Thank you. Anything else?
Thanks. No, just thanks for sharing what you
Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you for that very much. Thank you.
Gary, you did have a lot of valid points there, and I really like the way you put the summary together. I think the board should take this to heart and move forward with some of these ideas, because I think they're great ideas. And so that we can have more productive meetings.
I agree. Thank you.
Thanks. Is there any
Thank you.
correspondence?
No, no correspondence.
Okay, community announcements. So August 15th is our master plan here at 6 o'clock at Township Hall. You announced the paper shredding already?
Yep,
Or hazardous waste, I'm sorry.
hazardous waste.
September 13th is the Romeo Washington Chamber Golf Outing at Greystone,
What was that date?
September 13th. And I know there's the mom-to-mom sale at the Octagon House, the 20th of August. I'm sorry, I skipped you. Did you have any?
Yeah, the red or white scrimmage game for football will be this Friday at 5 o'clock, if you get a chance to come out and watch the team. The first game will be at Oxford High School on August 25th. I'm looking at Eric, so maybe he knows. I think it's August 25th. Yeah, it's August 25th at Oxford, so it'll be an emotional game, I think, for everybody that will be there. So.
That's the official game, not the scrimmage. You said scrimmage.
Yeah, the scrimmage is the 12th, but the official opening game will be, August 25th at 7 o'clock at Oxford. No, last I checked, the schedule was away. Friday's at Romeo, then the 25th is their first away game, first official seasonal game at Oxford. Okay.
Okay. If there's nothing else, then I'd like to make a motion to go into closed session for strategy and negotiation sessions connected with the negotiation of a collective bargaining agreement pursuant to Section 8C of the Open Meetings Act.
I'll support that.
Okay, motion by Praviti, seconded by Dukowski. Roll call.
Praviti?
Yes.
Datowski?
Yes.
Olson?
Yes.
Babinski's a yes. Nicely?
Yes.
Polad?
Yes.
And Kopp?
Yes.
Okay, motion passed. We'll be back shortly. Thank you.
You are right, it's at home.
Make a motion and go back into open session.
Support?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion passed. I'll make a motion to utilize Plant Moran for negotiations in connection with IAFF.
Do we need to put a dollar value on that? That do not exceed number? I would think that, because we're going to have to come back.
You got some left, so
Yeah.
maybe until you exceed that, and then get a quote for the balance.
$5 grand?
Sure. I'm good with that.
Not to exceed 25,000.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, not to exceed the 5,000.
Yeah, because we had the original
We still have a balance from the other.
Right. Support.
Okay, motion by Praviti, seconded by Cobb. Roll call?
Praviti,
Yes.
Kopp,
Yes.
Olson,
Yes.
Polad,
Yes.
Tatowski,
Yes?
Nicely,
Yes.
and Babinski is a yes.
Okay.
Did you want to go ahead with the other one? You worded it really well.
Okay, I make a motion to approve Gary Kopp for negotiations.
Support.
Okay. Okay, motion by Pollard, seconded by Olson. Roll call?
Polad,
Yes.
Olson,
Yes.
Praviti,
Yes.
Babinski is a yes. Nicely,
Yes.
Kopp,
Yes.
and Tatowski.
Yes?
Okay, motion passed. Make a motion to close the meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Thank you, WBRW.